Today I come and I speak against worldliness. In the gospel we just finished, Jesus says to his disciples, if the world hates you, realize that it hated me first. If you belonged to the world would love its own. But because you do not belong to the world, and I have chosen you out of the world hates you. Jesus often speaks about the world and about hatred against him and his disciples. He asks the Father not to remove the disciples from the world, but to defend them from the spirit of the world. This worldliness is capable of hating and destroying Jesus, his disciples, and even corrupting the church. This worldliness is present to this day, murdering the ministers, priests, holy women, and missionaries, as well as those of the West that are simply people of faith, but are not proselytizing, not preaching, but merely being witness to their faith by living as Christians and giving of themselves to others in service. For this, they must die. Worldliness is a proposal of life. It is a culture of the ephemeral, of appearance, of cosmetic makeup with superficial values. It is a culture that knows no fidelity because it changes according to circumstances. Like a chameleon, it negotiates everything. It is this worldliness from which Jesus, in his prayer, asked the Father to defend us. Worldliness is a throwaway culture that goes according to convenience. It is also a way of life for many who call themselves Christians but are worldly. The concerns of the world drown out their faith. The renowned 20th century Jesuit theologian, Father Henri de Lubac, described worldliness as the worst of evils afflicting Christianity. Spiritual worldliness is a way of living that kills Christianity because it hates faith. Worldliness enters everywhere, even into the church. Look to martyrs who are killed for hatred of the faith. I warn you against the mistake of regarding spiritual worldliness as something superficial, as it has very deep roots. Recall St. Paul's speech at the Areopagus in Athens, where he drew attention to the unknown God and began preaching the gospel. When he arrived at the cross and resurrection, they were scandalized and left. The one thing that worldliness cannot tolerate is the scandal of the cross. The only medicine against worldliness is Christ, who died and rose for us. Victory against the world is faith in Jesus. The foolishness of the cross and the victory of Christ is our victory too, which is what St. John wrote in the first letter of John. The world hates Jesus, and he prays to the Father to defend us from the spirit of that world. However, faith does not mean being fanatical or not dialoguing with others. All Christians, all of the faithful, must ask the Holy Spirit for the grace to be able to discern between worldliness and the gospel, so as to not be deceived. And again ask for the strength and grace from God, so to stand against the tide of worldliness in our homes, our families, and our lives. Faith should not be a matter of convenience. Ever.